Is my stepmom crazy? The story is pretty long, so bear with me, but a little backstory is required before we get into the nitty-gritty. So just to start, my birth mom and dad got divorced when I was about 4 years old. My dad remarried a woman, let's call her Karen. When I first met Karen, and she seems like a cool person, I didn't really have any issues with her at all until she gave birth to her first child. After that she switched and started to become a really bad person and just really messed up things. My dad was around a lot because he was working all day, so he didn't really know much was going on. There were simple things like checking my phone, not letting me have my phone upstairs, or not letting me have any privacy. She would make me clean the living room, my room, do the dishes, and 4 loads of laundry of everyone's laundry every single day, or else I was grounded. She was a stay-at-home and she did nothing but play Don't Starve all day. Everything that she needed I did for her, and I never spoke out of minded her ever, I just obliged. The times she would call me from my room upstairs to come downstairs to let the dogs out, even though she was sitting on the couch, literally 4 feet from the door. She would make me her coffee in the morning, and I had to walk myself to school, even though it was a long walk all through middle school and half of high school. Then there were insane punishments, things like making me sit at the table from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. to think about what I've done, going into my room at the middle of the night while I was sleeping and destroy everything and make me clean it up because I hung up her clothes wrong or got a bad grades or something, or make me sleep in the game room without a bed for a couple of days, only allowed to leave for food, and have 3 pairs of clothes to wear for the week, as well as take a shower with the sink for 5 minutes.
By the way, I was only in elementary school and middle school this happened. She also hated my birth mom and refused to let me speak to her most of the time, and at one point demanded that me and my brother stop contact with her, which resulted in 4 years of me not being able to talk to her. The list goes on, but there are a lot of incidents like that. She has put her hands on me once, but that was about it from all I can remember. There were also insane other punishments, like not letting me have birthdays and yelling at me because I loved birth mom more than her, because she looked her messages and saw that I was being affectionate towards my mom. She called me disgusting and dirty, or the R word, and a lot of other words, as well. Didn't let me leave the house to go hang out with my friends ever, maybe once every 3 months. Finally, during COVID, when I was about 14, her and my dad got divorced, and my dad lost his job, so he had to move to Cali to get a new one, and I was stuck living with her. She came out as lesbian and was dating another person, and things seemed to calm down, and she was less of a bad person. At first her and my dad were still friends after the divorce and hung out, and we all lived in one house together. But once he got a girlfriend, things started to shift, and she would constantly attack him and anything he did, and believed that everything he did was an attack on her, and that he was still obsessed with the divorce, even though he wasn't. He was kicked out of the house even though he was the one paying for it. This was right before he was fired. She would constantly tell me that he was a horrible person and horrible things to her, and I started to believe they were true. I also lived with her, so I had to agree with everything she said, or else she would destroy my life, so I lost contact with my dad for about half a year as well. Side note, she also refused to take me to school, so my boyfriend had to
take me every day of my last 2 years of high school. She claimed it was because she had to drop her full daughter off at school, even though my school was literally on the same road, and we would pass it on the way to dropping off her daughter. Once I turned 18, she would still go through my phone, and I was allowed to go out more. It was still very manipulative, and she would use it against me. My dad and still talked a little bit, like once every 2 weeks, but not often, and one day he called me on the way to school and told me that he wanted to go to Japan for spring to visit our family, and he was hoping I would be able to go, and this trip has been planned forever. Even though she knew that I had this trip planned, surprised me with Hawaii tickets to go for spring break, and then got mad at me when I brought up Dad had planned a trip to Japan, and I decided I had enough and moved into my best friend's house. I got back in contact with my birth mom and started becoming closer to my dad as well. Finally, after about a couple of weeks living with my best friend, I moved in with my dad. My birth mom lives in another state, so I was unable to go see her BTW. After a couple months of living with my dad, Karen reached out to me and messaged me a couple times. She said she was going to therapy and that she had changed and that she was really sorry for everything and wanted to build a relationship back. She said she missed us because even though we had those horrible times, there are moments when we could laugh and be close. I had a little sympathy in my heart for her, And she did raise me no matter how horrible it was, and so I agreed to build back, and for a couple of months we were doing really good, hanging out once in a while. And she even went shopping with me for back-to-school stuff to start my first year of college. She also gifted me money to move my birth mom's old car across state so I could have it. Then things changed when me and my boyfriend brother all went to dinner with his family, and right next door was a dog place. Normally I wouldn't go in, but his brother really wanted to go inside and see the animals, so he went in, and I found this one little corgi dog, and he was adorable. My BFS brother wanted to play with him as soon as we did. I was in love. My whole life I struggled with depression due to my stepmom, and particularly that past couple of months. I was really in a bad place, and this dog just seemed to brighten me up and make me happy, which I know isn't an excuse, but it felt like I had found a little buddy. I called my mom and dad back to back to see if I can get the dog. My dad said absolutely not, but my stepmom said she was on the way. When she got there, she told me that she was willing to buy the dog for me as a present and that I could pay her back over the course of a couple of years, and she doesn't mind when she gets the money, or if it was only $100 a month. She said she really wasn't picky about it. I was so excited, and I called my dad back. He said it was a bad idea, but if I wanted to do it, then I would have to take care of it and stuff like that. I went back inside and I told her that I think it's a bad idea. She insisted that it was a good idea, that I should just go with it and that would work out. She told me I could live with her if I had to make sure that the dog gets taken care of, even though I had a dorm already set up for me. She kept reassuring me at some point. I just felt like it was a good idea, so we went along with it. About a month and I realized that the dog was a lot more work than I thought, and he was also just a puppy, so I was having a difficult time going to school, having a job, and taking care of a dog all at once, and I needed some help or else he would be stuck in a kennel all day, which I could never do to him. I was talking to my birth mom and she mentioned that she wouldn't mind me bringing the dog out for her wedding and that she would take care of the dog for 2 years until I could find a place on my own. I thought this was a great idea, so I can have the dog back eventually instead of giving it away to someone unattached in my life. I talked to my dad, and he said that they would be the most responsible decision. Before I continue, I know I made a mistake in getting the dog. I should have said no and gone with my gut, but I was definitely convinced that it was a good idea and that it would have worked out. Anyways, I finally reached out to Karen and told her that my plan was to take the dog with me to Missouri until I could fully watch him and get a place. This is when she freaked out on me and told me that she called the pet center, said I wasn't able to take care of the dog. At this point I was freaking out and I told her that she was a big argument. She accused me of many things and many mean things and ended the conversation saying I can't afford my own life. I blocked her at this point, telling her get her money. Eventually after that she removed me from the phone plan, even though it was in the divorce. She paid for me and my sister's phone, and took me off things that I was attached to. The next day, my dad had to go get a plan for me on his phone plan. About a couple days after, I got a Venmo request from her for $4,300 for the dog and for the money that she gave me to mail my car to me, as well as what I think is money for the last bill she paid for my phone. I'm a freshman in college. I have a job at Nike that pays pretty decent, but definitely not enough to make that much money for her. I know I'll have to pay her back eventually, but I also feel like she was in the wrong. I don't know what I should do. If the dog to Missouri was the wrong decision, I feel like you would be happier there because I live in a desert and Missouri has nice weather, big grass field for him to run in their backyard, and lots of dog parks. They also have really friendly dogs there that love to play, which is perfect for my dog. My dad says it's not 100% my fault because he says I was manipulated by Karen, but I feel like I also had to say and I should have spoken up, so I do know what I was partially in the wrong as well. But overall, am I crazy?